Standing Committee Report number 3525, third reading of House Bill 1850, Senate Draft 2, relating to taxation.
Senator Thielen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to offer a floor amendment to House Bill 1850, Senate Draft 2.
Madam Clerk, please identify the amendment.
Floor Amendment number 5, proposing an amendment to House Bill 1850, Senate Draft 2, copies of which have been distributed to the members.
Senator Thielen.
Mr. President, I move that floor amendment number 5 be adopted.
Senator Revere.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Senator Thielen.
Thank you, Mr. President. The purpose of House Bill 1850 is to increase the state tax collections that are due from transient vacation rentals operated in Hawaii. It's estimated that we are losing millions in tax revenues due to the state, due to basically to tax scofflaws. The bill ostensibly would create a vacation rental broker wherein the broker could collect the TAT and GET due to the state for units that are advertised through the broker and rented through the broker and remit them to the state. I think in order to strengthen the bill and to achieve our goal of assuring tax collection, we need to make some amendments to it. Let me first by beginning to say what this amendment, Senate Draft 3, does not do. Senate Draft 3 would not stop anybody from renting a vacation rental who is currently renting a vacation rental, permitted or unpermitted. The permitting of vacation rentals is a county responsibility, and this amendment does not change that. The amendment also does not require DOTAX to enforce county land use laws. That's not DOTAX's responsibility. The last thing the amendment doesn't do is it does not give large companies like Airbnb, which I understand had a large hand, if not the exclusive hand, in drafting the original bill, does not give them a sweetheart deal at the expense of local property managers. What the amendment does is it makes sure that DOTAX has the same information from Airbnb as it currently gets from all local property managers, so that DOTAX can verify and enforce their tax collection that's rendered by any online broker. What the amendment also does is it prevents Airbnb from dumping or hiding tax information, and I'll explain in a minute why that's important. What the amendment does is it prevents tax scofflaws, the individual unit owners, from hiding bigger operations behind an Airbnb license. And lastly, what the amendment does is it prevents the proliferation of the rental of campgrounds that we're starting to see come up on Airbnb, and it's taking away vacation sites that are cherished by Hawaii residents. So first, let me explain why do we need to strengthen House Bill 1850? Why should we be concerned that an online vacation broker is not going to render all the tax that is due to us? I shared with some of you a letter to Airbnb investors from 2 members of the Council of the City of New York. And in this letter that is dated March 9, 2016, Councilwoman Helen Rosenthal and Councilman Juman Williams notified the Airbnb investors to alert you to new information regarding your investment in Airbnb. By Airbnb's own admission, the majority of their listings in New York City are illegal, and we are concerned that they are not sharing information with our regulatory authorities that can lead them to rely upon Airbnb to render all the tax that is due to their operations. Airbnb was investigated by New York State Attorney General Eric Scheiderman in 2014, and he concluded that nearly 75% of their New York listings were illegal. During that investigation and a subsequent investigation in 2016 determined that Airbnb dropped nearly 1,500 illegal New York City listings a few weeks prior to presenting their data to authorities. There's concerns in other areas. When I spoke with the American Association or the Hotel and Lodging Association, they raised other jurisdictions where Airbnb has not shared the data with the regulatory authorities. The bill, without the amendments, gives Airbnb a sweetheart deal, and it exempts them from provisions in our tax code that applies to all local property managers. Our current GET law requires any local property manager who's renting property on behalf of a third party to have certain information contained on the first page of the rental agreements and to file the first page of each of those rental agreements with DOTAX so that DOTAX can get immediate information, which it can use then to verify against the monthly filings by the property manager that it's getting all the GET that's due to it. Section 4 of the current bill, without the amendments, says that GET law still applies to all local property managers and everybody else except it gives an exception to the online vacation brokers. Section 6 of the bill. Our current TAT law also requires local property managers to have certain information about the TAT that's due on these rentals on the first page of each agreement, also filed with DOTAX, so DOTAX can rectify or compare that with the monthly filings to make sure it's getting all the taxes due. Section 6 of the bill, without the amendments, gives a special sweetheart exemption to Airbnb and any other online vacation broker. Outrigger testified that they're currently complying with these laws. It's not onerous. It makes sure that the tax department has the information it needs so that it can validate that it's getting the full taxes that are due to it. Under the initial bill, not only does Airbnb and the online vacation brokers get these sweetheart exemptions, it also says any data that's collected by Airbnb is confidential and they do not have to hand it over to the tax department except by subpoena. Tax department says, oh, we have the authority to do an administrative subpoena. Problem is, New York found when you notify Airbnb that we want the data, they dumped a lot of it. So why on earth wouldn't we be holding Airbnb to the same standards and eliminate those exemptions that are given to them? The amendment in front of you eliminates those two provisions, Section 4 and Section 6, and would require Airbnb to comply with the same provisions as all other local property managers. The other thing the amendment does is it requires individual unit owners to still obtain their own transient accommodation license. The beginning of the bill, the preamble, says that this online broker is similar to Chapter 237-9, which allows network marketing companies to collect taxes on behalf of businesses that they represent. The only difference is that section of the law still requires those businesses to obtain their own GET license. Again, so tax can know how many of these businesses are out there and use that to reconcile the information that they get. The bill that's in front of you without the amendments would allow tax scofflaws to hide behind Airbnb's tax license and not have to get their own tax license. Nor would their individual TAT number have to be posted, so DOTAX could not verify whether they're getting full tax revenues from these operations. The amendment would rectify that and require the individual operators to continue to get their own TAT license and to continue to have that posted. And if that information is not posted, that they can be penalized under it for our existing law. Lastly, the bill amendment does include one other thing. The original bill just says Airbnb is obligated to attest that their rentals on their sites are legal. I'm sorry, but I have trouble relying on a company attesting, and I'm not sure what that means, because they, under the way the current bill is written, they could just rely on what the applicant says to them about it being legal. But I've also shared with you some postcards that Airbnb has mailed around recruiting new vacation rentals on the island of Oahu, even in communities like Eva Beach, let alone my district of Kailua, where the company knows full well that any new vacation rental on Oahu is, by definition, illegal, because we are well over the cap of legal vacation rentals. In addition, in this letter in New York from the council people, They stated, "We recently met with Airbnb's representative, Chris Lahane. We asked him if Airbnb would voluntarily install simple software to keep illegal rentals off their website. Remarkably, he refused, saying that he did not agree with the New York state law. As you can imagine, we were disappointed to learn that a nearly $30 billion company would knowingly allow illegal activity on its website. Other online platforms like Craigslist and Reddit have policies in which they promise to ensure their users obey the law and remove content that disobeys the law. It is remarkable that Airbnb would refuse a seemingly common sense corporate practice to maintain the integrity of their product." Now, some of you think that vacation rentals are an issue only in certain districts, such as Windward, Oahu, or the North Shore. But I also shared with you an advertisement that's on Airbnb that is advertising Hawaii camping with the dolphins. First camping in Hawaii with dolphins, $59 a night. Makua. Other folks that are advertising on Airbnb. Camp the Beach, U.S. Beach, #1 beach in the U.S., Waimanalo. Camping with dolphins, Waianae. Hawaii beach campouts that are personalized. Campgrounds enjoying wildlife. Comfortable camping in Anini Beach, Haena Beach, Polihali Beach, Kalalau Campground Adventure. Relaxer camper getaway. Luxury glamping. It's glamorous camping for those of you who don't know about that. That one's $100, but the rest are about $39 a night. Old Kapa'a Town, Kahului, Kihei. The list goes on and on. It's expanding into areas where our local residents go for their vacations with their family year after year. It's expanding into our public campgrounds and our cabins that are the affordable getaway places for our families in this state with the highest cost of living. And under the bill, SD2, without the amendments, that will continue and it will expand. And even though those operations are illegal, it's going to be a cat and mouse game where the various counties and the state agencies and the state parks are going to have to be going after these people, and it's like a whack-a-mole game. Every time they come up, they get knocked down, they pop up in under a different name, and it's going to keep going. And your constituents are going to be shut out of these areas, and the tourism dollars that we get are going to continue to decline per tourist because they're going to be finding these low-end, $39 a night places to stay in Hawaii, as opposed to going to our hotels, going to our higher-end facilities. And we keep saying year after year, we don't want more tourists, we want higher spending tourists. This is going in exactly the wrong direction. So one of the amendments that are in here would, instead of requiring Airbnb to rely on whoever is advertising with them to attest to it being legal, that they would have to obtain a certification or written verification from the counties that what's being advertised on their site would be legal. That would help prevent and stop these types of advertisements of the campgrounds because they are clearly illegal. I'm going to stop at this point because I know that there are other people who want to comment on this bill, but I just want to say, and I may stand up to rebut some of those comments, but I just wanted to say a couple more things. First of all, the bill has an effective date. Even if you're not certain that these amendments are the best solution, if we don't amend the bill today, it's going to go to the House for agree to disagree, and you're not going to have another chance to vote on it. If you have doubts, please don't express them in reservations. Support the amendment, put the bill in conference committee where we can continue to work on it. The second thing I wanted to say is when I first came into the Senate and I met with a number of folks, people kept telling me it's all about relationships. I know that I disagree with a lot of people here on many topics, but I think now that this is my 4th year here, a number of you know that you can rely on me to have done due diligence on bills to go back and do the homework and to look at them. And I'm telling you that the bill SD2 is a dangerous bill to pass. It's dangerous if you want to go after tax revenues because it gives too many exemptions to Airbnb, and given their business practices in other jurisdictions, it's not going to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. And it's dangerous because the protections that are in there are weak and vague, and they're not going to preclude advertisements like these camping advertisements that are going in there. So please support the amendment. Thank you.